Okay. So, a couple weeks back at Sony's State of Play, their big cap-off announcement was that they approached Marvel about creating a new tag fighting game. And they had also approached Arcsys, the creators of Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, a couple other games. Most notably as well, Dragon Ball FighterZ. It had a very large popularity back in 2018, around the time a similar tag game was coming out. And that's why this is so funny, is because like a year ago at this time, we were all thinking, going into this year, that this was going to be the year we would finally see the real Marvel vs. Capcom 4 being made. The Marvel brand is in a lot of better state than it was when it comes to like what characters they can use. And on top of that, Marvel and Capcom both in themselves being on top of their games in relative terms, especially when it comes to games themselves. Marvel games have been getting a lot better lately. Think of stuff like Marvel Rivals, Midnight Sun, the Spider-Man games, even stuff like Marvel Snap. Like they just have a better grasp on like how to get people into those games and not just, you know, just kind of like half-ass things. But anyway, this week they're doing, this Thursday, both at 6 p.m., Capcom's doing a game showcase on their front. Arc System Works is also doing a showcase, and Capcom has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. But we're not talking about Capcom right now. We're instead talking about Arc System Works, and more importantly, Marvel Tokon itself. And the biggest question of all, which is, what characters are going to be in the game? So I have this little roster template here from Ultima Shadow over on Twitter. This did have more character slots before. I've trimmed it down. I've trimmed it down to the size I think the roster is going to be at launch. Previous Arc System games in recent years, they've kind of hovered around like a 20 character launch roster. I am bumping it up to like 24. It's a 4v4 game. There has to be like at least a decent amount of characters, because otherwise it's just gonna like, you're gonna see like the same 4 teams like over and over and over again, and you probably will regardless anyway. But I think 24 is fine. I could see it going to 28. Like 28 is the middle ground for me. I could see 32 at most. I just don't think it's going to happen, and I think 24 is like the safest bet possible. Now, why am I doing this? First of all, it's fun. Second of all, it is currently... by the way, when I'm recording this, it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and it is over, like, it's still like 88 degrees outside. There's no way my ass is going outside right now. Like, I'm marshmallow white. I'll fucking toast up, okay? Flame on. But more importantly, I'm a big believer in the fact that a fighting game roster is like make or break for a fighting game. It is like the most integral part of being able to sell a fighting game, getting people into a fighting game, keeping the ecosystem of a fighting game alive. You see what happens when a Marvel fighting game has a very bad roster, in the case of MVCI, where it was stripped back to shit. It was just all MCU stuff, basically. So I'm a big believer in that a fighting game roster has to make the most of its size. That's kind of why I'm going at 24 here, too, to kind of, like, challenge myself to see, like, can I make a satisfying roster of characters when I have a pretty limited pool? Because, I mean, we already got, like, 8 filled out already. And what's really nice, too, is in their little Sony blog post, Arcsys themselves kind of told us, like, what their thought process was selecting the roster for this game. And I'm definitely going to be basing a lot of the criteria of, like, who I picked for this roster based off that. So let's read what they say here. They say, there are so many amazing Marvel characters that it was quite a struggle to choose a roster, but we did have some criteria for the selection process. First and foremost, we wanted to include characters who we feel to be the face of Marvel. That's pretty obvious, right? At the same time, we also needed to select characters that would give us a balance of battle types and styles. Fair enough. And lastly, we wanted to sprinkle in a few surprises, and this is the big one for me: leave room for characters who have never been playable in a fighting game before. Now, that does mean, like, pretty broadly, right? Like, it's not like Capcom had the cap on Marvel fighting games. You know, there's smaller studios that made, like, kind of lesser entries. But really, I mean, what this statement is really saying is, like, we want our own shit, man. We're not just trying to give you another flavor of MVC, because the game's gonna play very differently. First of all, I mean, like if you even see the gameplay of the game, like it is a lot closer to something like Guilty Gear Strive than it ever is anything like UMVC 3 or anything like that. So going in, I'm gonna be respecting this criteria a lot, but I also have some of my own rules. Big one for me is I want to have at least a third of the roster be female characters. It's an Arcsys game, and Arcsys will always cook on like a female character design, so I want to get like a decent amount in. On top of that, if there's any part of the criteria I'm really trying to go on, it's this last bit here, which is leave room for characters who have never been playable in a fighting game before. I am not just making an MVC roster with no Capcom characters. I'm not doing that. Arcsys isn't doing that. I've seen a lot of fan-made rosters, and a lot of them are good, but a lot of people do find themselves in the trap of either being like, okay, I am just doing all the MCU characters, or I'm doing all the characters you expect to see in a Marvel vs. Capcom game, right? I want characters that are going to fit well within the game's art style specifically as well. Like, that also includes characters that are going to have, like, really flashy, like, supers and play styles and stuff like that. Stuff that is going to be wholly unique to this game. So I think you get the gist of it, so I think we might as well just start off the top. We're gonna go through here. Like I said before, we got a 24 character roster. It's gonna be a little tight, but I will say overall I'm pretty happy with what I've cooked up here. Starting off at the top, and you're gonna see as we go along, like, it's kind of as the rows go down, it's characters who I kind of organized it in a way that, like, it's characters I feel like are more likely towards the top, which is really funny considering we have these two spots here, right? So let's just start off with this, right? There is no fucking way in hell Arcsys is going to pass up on the opportunity to do Wolverine. Like, there's just no fucking way. First of all, the last time a Marvel tag fighter did not have Wolverine in it, people were fucking furious. So I don't think they're gonna make that mistake again. On top of that, there's a lot to work with Wolverine. I mean, we've seen, like, very different designs from Marvel Rivals, where he's just like a guy in a jacket and he doesn't really have like the face mask and stuff. I kind of would honestly like myself to just see if they would go for the yellow and brown costume over the traditional like yellow and blue. Either way, I think we're in good spirits, and the game just needs to have Wolverine in it, right? There's no way he's not in the game. Another character that needs to be in this game, like needs to be, and they're not going to pass up the opportunity, I don't think. And this one might be, like, people may disagree on this one, but, like, there's no denying now that, like, Venom is arguably more of a standalone character by himself than he is attached to Spider-Man, but he has the exact same appeal as Spider-Man. You know, when we're talking about, like, them kind of, you know, trying to switch things up with, like, you know, like the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider here. You know, I've seen people suggest some cool stuff. The only one I will accept, for me, I don't want no all-new Venom. I don't even want, like, Matt Gargan Venom. I don't want anybody else to take up the mantle. It is either Eddie Brock, or it's Agent Venom. I don't have Agent Venom here, because I just don't think they're going to do it, right? Now, here's the thing with Agent Venom. Like, I think Agent Venom would be a cool thing to do, and if they did it, I would respect them a lot for it. The thing with Agent Venom, though, is you do Agent Venom, and then at the end of the day, like, while he will have stuff unique to him, he kind of just plays like another gun character. And, I mean, not only do we already have, like, Star-Lord, but, like, you're going to see as we go down, there's more room for that, and I'd rather have those characters in over Venom, who... The appeal of Venom is that he's Venom, and he fucking shapeshifts, and he does big bites and all this stuff. They will go crazy on a symbiote design in this game. I know they will. I've even seen some people say, fuck Venom, do Carnage, and you're wrong on that, because that's DLC. That's DLC, buddy. Before we continue, speaking of DLC, I'm just going to get this out of the way now, before we go any further. Obviously, this is a 4v4 fighting game. There is a Fantastic Four movie coming out this year. Doctor Doom is already here. The characters are finally back. They're in a lot of stuff. Like, they're in Marvel Rivals right now. There's no doubt about it. Personally, for me, I do not feel like the Fantastic Four is going to be in the base roster. I feel like it's kind of an all-or-nothing situation, considering we already have Kamala, who has, like, the stretchy powers and stuff. you know, it's not her weird fucking MCU powers either. I just don't see them doing it. And that's not to say that, like, they couldn't make Reed different. Or even, like, because when I was fooling around with this roster for a bit, too, I was even thinking to myself, like, alright, well, maybe they could just do, like, Sue and Johnny, because their power sets are, like, kind of, like, the most unique amongst the four themselves, at least when we're comparing to other characters that could potentially be on this roster. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, you're gonna do that, and if you have, like, one or two, the biggest complaint from people are gonna be, wow, why isn't the full team here? I want to run a full team before. So, as much as I would love to have them here, I'm not ready to dedicate 4 roster spots of a 24 character roster solely to them. Like, I don't think they would be mentioning this if it wasn't to say, sorry, the 4 is not in the game because we went with Kamala and maybe some other characters, right? Speaking of which, there's no thing because there's Hulk. Because there has to be Hulk. Hulk is, like, you don't do a Marvel game without Hulk in it. I mean, I'm curious to see what a Hulk design looks like from Arcsys. I don't know if they go crazy on the fucking veins or whatever. Or if they even say, fuck it, make it a transformation character and let you play as Bruce with no Hulk. I really don't know. This is what's fun, is, again, the other thing too is, like, so much of these characters in fighting games have been defined by Capcom's influence on them. And the cool part of Hulk is, like, Hulk has always been more of, like, a bruiser character. He's never really been, like, a grappler, and I'm pretty sure Arcsys is gonna make him a grappler, like, because one of the Hulk moves of all time is the big fucking slam back and forth that he does on Loki. Like, I feel like this is the time they make Hulk, like, a grappler character. They, like, lean very heavily into that, which is neat. Moving down the line on this row, and you're probably gonna notice a theme with the characters on this row, right? Because up next is Thor. I mean, we've seen the statue in the background of the stages. You have to get, like, the main 4 Avengers, right? When you're doing a Marvel game, you kind of just gotta. It's part of the criteria. And believe me, I'm not even, like, even despite the movies, I'm still not even the biggest Thor fan. And if we are doing switch-ups on the characters, if there's one person I would love to have here, it's Beta Ray Bill. I'm a Beta Ray Bill believer, but unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. That being said, though, I am excited to see, like, what they do with Thor in this game. Because he's definitely going to be more of, like, a kind of, like, heavier kind of bruiser character compared to, like, other characters we have, like, up here. But the one thing I really want to see, and I want them to lean so heavily on this, make it a big part of his moveset, like, kind of, like, ping-ponging people back between himself and the hammer when he throws it, right? Like, I want him to throw the hammer, like, it flies out with a hitbox, then you can call the hammer back, it returns with a hitbox, pulls people back in, and you can do these crazy, like, pick-up, like, set play combos with him. I want to see a Thor that does some crazy shit in this game, man. Make Thor cool. Up next, and this is one I think some people are kind of, like, not too sold on, but, like, there's no denying the popularity of this character. And if you're thinking there's a little bit of overlap between him and Wolverine because they're just guys with claws, I don't think you've ever actually seen what Black Panther does, first of all. He's gonna have, like, a lot of cool shit. His design is going to look amazing in this game. I hope so badly they give him, like, a cloak. He should have a cape. Like, he should just, like, if you're, like, he needs to have the same level of drip as, like, Storm and as, like, Doom. Like, I need to see Cape T'Challa in this game. I'm pretty sure it's T'Challa. There may be a chance that we get, like, a Shuri. Not a Killmonger, I don't think. Maybe you get a Shuri just to, like, switch it up a little bit. But I think T'Challa is the one everyone wants to see. They will hopefully incorporate, like, the kinetic absorption thing in here. You know, his movement will hopefully be very fun and cool. Moving right along, and this is another, like, this is arguably, even of the characters of this row, I think this one's just dead set, right? Because this character is so insanely popular now. Like, I would make the argument, like, even over characters like Storm, that she is probably the most popular female Marvel character, like, ever, right now. She is at, like, the height of her popularity. I also needed a magic user, and if I have to choose between her or Strange, or maybe even some other characters like, you know, Mysterio or Loki, I'm picking her. Her powers are very weird, because, like, they're never... you get the gist of what she can do, but, like, they're never so well defined. And, like, the thing is, she can literally do anything. Like, she fucking rips a guy's mouth off one time. Just, like, covers it over with skin. I don't think she's gonna do that in this game. But, you know, they can play it basic. I'd like to see if they do anything, like, kind of crazier with it. Either way, like, this character is too popular at the moment to pass up. She's never been playable in a fighting game before. It's a no-brainer. And last on the row here, in this kind of, like, Avengers row I have going on here, I was looking through, I'm like, okay, like, there's really not too much left. I mean, like, I always feel weird about not having Ant-Man on these rosters, but I just don't know how you make Ant-Man work in a fighting game. I was even considering, like, Wasp at some point, just so she could have, like, the blasters or whatever, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Really, if we're talking, like, main core, like, MCU Avengers, two come to mind immediately, right? It's Black Widow, and it's a Hawkeye. And I was, like, going back and forth on it a while. I'm like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't, like, the thing with Hawkeye is Hawkeye's so, unfortunately for Hawkeye, despite what you might think of the character, like, you put him on a fighting game roster and everyone goes, oh, here's fucking Hawkeye, I guess, whatever. Just the bow and arrow guy. It's interesting to see these character switch-ups, and honestly, if there's one, like, legacy character, I think that would arguably go over better than the character that, like, that they get the moniker from. I'm going Kate Bishop on this one. I'm going Kate Bishop Hawkeye. I don't know, she's definitely more relevant now, obviously, because now they're moving into doing more, like, Young Avengers stuff on like, in the MCU and all this. She's a pretty recent character, too. Also, again, trying to fill out the more female side of the roster, and I don't know, like, she has some, she's not all just bow stuff, she has, like, a sword, apparently. She has, like, billy clubs. I want to respect the fact, too, that, like, Hawkeye is a cool character. Like, I'm not against having, like, a bow character zoner. It's just gonna be a lot of shooting arrows, and I hope with her, especially, they get really crazy on the trick arrows. I want to see some, like, some unique stuff. You could obviously throw in, like, the Pym arrows and stuff, but, like, I don't know. Glue traps, nets, fucking, I don't know, ricocheting arrows that bounce all over the screen. Do some crazy shit. Arcsys is pretty good when it comes to, like, projectile manipulation on characters, so I think she'll be pretty fun, actually. We are now moving down to our second to last row, and as we're going down again, this as it goes down, it gets less and less likely that the character might be in the game, and that's more so to the fact that, like, you know, as we go down, I'm moving away from characters that are, like, obvious jump out picks, right? So let's add in a character that has never been playable in a fighting game before. And if you've watched the trailer and you've seen what some people are saying, like, this one's a no-brainer, and it probably should have happened a long time ago, but it's gonna happen now. There is no fucking way in hell that Daredevil is not in this game. It's just, there is no possible way that he's not playable. I would go as far to say, if he's DLC even, that's a missed opportunity. Like, he should be base roster. Like, he's in, you see Matt Murdock in the background of the stage. There's a Hell's Kitchen stage, and, you know, considering this is, that's pretty much all I have to say about the matter, I'm gonna do you one better right now. Because as I was looking over female characters, I was like, I want to get something new in here, and this character is pretty popular, but, like, you know, hasn't really been in anything at all. So fuck it, Elektra. And if she is in, I'm not really, like, again, when I'm pitching characters here, I'm not getting too in the nitty gritty of, like, what the playstyle is. Here's the thing about Elektra, though. If she's in, needs to be the fastest character in the game. She needs to be the most pure rushdown character in the game. She needs to be fast as fuck. She needs to, like, pure glass cannon, basically. I just want a fast, aggressive, combo-heavy, ninja-like character, right? And I think the Sais are cool, too. Like, Sais are, like, a very different weapon. I think Arcsys would enjoy getting to do, like, a very different, like, weapon type for that. like, I just want to see her in, because, like, I feel like this is her best opportunity of getting in a fighting game, and she is such a fighting game character. Like, they're, like, compared to any of the other, like, female Marvel characters, she is, like, she should be in a fighting game. She should. Speaking of characters that should be in fighting games, and this one's a no-brainer based off, like, recent popularity, and, you know, even just looking at this character, I look at this character immediately, I go, yep, that's an Arcsys character, it's magic. Like, big sword, demons, portals, blonde-haired white woman, like... She needs to be in this game. They can even make her like an install character, because we've seen like the devil or the demon form she has in like Marvel Rivals and stuff. What I like about Magic compared to like other stuff here, because I'll give you a spoiler right now, I unfortunately don't have Psylocke on the roster. Yeah, it's kind of why I have these characters a little back to back here, because like they kind of split the diff on X-Men sword character or X-Men sword babe and fast ninja character, right? Like, they kind of split the diff here on this. But Magic in herself is just, like, she is completely over the moon in popularity now. Like, toys, merchandise. I don't doubt to imagine we will maybe see her in the MCU at some point. They may even just say fucking and pull the one from, that New Mutants movie into Doomsday. Who the fuck knows, right? But this is also, again, like Elektra, just such a fighting game character. Big-ass sword, the portals. I would hope she used the portals, too, to, like... You know, even if it's just, like, teleporting and stuff, like, I would hope she has, like, some interesting movement going on. The thing is, though, is, like, when it comes to the sword, I do want it to be, like, the big, chunky sword. I want her attacks to be a little bit slower, a little bit heavier. You know, I want more separation among sword users. There's gonna be a lot of them, right? So we need to have, like, one that, like, hits a little bit, like, harder and slower, and she's definitely the character for that. Now, if we're talking about characters that have hints in the stage background and whatever, there is one that, especially if you're a Marvel Rivals player, you'll be able to pick out of the background pretty quickly. And, yep, I mean, I agree. I don't know why this character keeps ending up in things. She's just in fucking everything. She existed nowhere, and now she's just in everything. However, I have two things going against this character right now. One, they said they wanted a variance of playstyles, and we've already seen that Storm has some ice stuff in the game, right? And she is purely ice stuff. You know, it's light and dark ice, it fucking heals sometimes or whatever, but, like, who cares about fucking... First of all, I don't want healing in a tag fighter. The last time that fucking happened, get the shit out of here, right? The one thing I am sure of the timeline of this game is that this game was in production before Marvel Rivals and the popularity of both that game and the characters within it, you know, because now we're seeing way more Jeff the Shark, we're seeing way more Squirrel Girl, we're seeing way more Luna Snow. So fuck it, man. I don't want her here. And I have a way better choice. Because I need some more X-Men on this roster. Give me Jubes. Give me Jubes. The people have been dying for Jubes, dude. Where has Jubilee been? You know, I'm not like the biggest, like, X-Men fan either, so, like, I can't... From what I hear from X-Men fans is, like, she's not, like... Really, it's the show that got a lot of spotlight on this character, like the animated series. In actual, like, comics and just in general, she's not the most popular X-Men character. But I also look at this character, like many other characters on this list, and she just screams Arcsys design for me. Like, the coat, the pink, like, sort of, like, sweater, the goggles, the gloves. And again, they want characters that have never been playable in a fighting game before. Jubilee has been in previous Marvel vs. Capcom games, but she was only an assist. She was never a fully playable character. I think if a big part of this game is saying, hey, we are the tag fighter to bring X-Men back in the forefront, do Jubes, dude. Do Jubes. We want Jubes. I want Jubes. You want Jubes. We're going Jubes. Now, as we're moving along here, and we're on the topic of X-Men, there is one character who, first of all, I think is a no-brainer for this game. They talk about characters they think are the face of Marvel. There is one character that has huge popularity by no stretch of the imagination. Like, this is a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. He's popular, he's funny, he could be the comedy character. Especially with Arcsys doing it, they would give him a lot of, like, Faust flair. They'd give him, like, the crazy expressions, the kind of weird, gimmicky moves and stuff like that. I would even think that Arcsys would lean into the fact that, like, this guy has, like, a huge healing factor and maybe do moves where, like, he can, like, dismember himself and stuff. However, there is some overlap with Deadpool and some other characters. And I'm just gonna be honest, like, me, and I think I speak for a lot of other people here, will say, I don't think I can go another game without this character not being in it. Give us Blade. Give us Blade. You can make Blade DLC, you can make Deadpool DLC, but Blade should just, like, enough of the strings attached, man. Fucking Blade isn't even in Marvel Rivals yet, despite being in the fucking game. Like, Blade arguably could be considered a face of Marvel, right? He's an extremely popular character. The problem with Blade is we keep getting promised Blade stuff, and then it never comes out. No game out, no fucking movie out, no shows, no anything. Give us Blade. And the main reason I'm doing this too is because there's no fucking way that Arcsys literally adds a black vampire character in Guilty Gear Strive and doesn't do Blade after. It's not happening. I'm like, they cannot let that happen. I won't allow them to let that happen. Give us Blade, give us the guns, give us the sword, give him the cool vampire stuff, give him some other stuff too. I don't know, like, you know, Blade isn't just like, you know, only guns and swords. But he does get the spot of the guns and sword guy, because he deserves it. We're moving on to our final row, which, this is where things got really tough for me, right? Everything above here, like I've said, I've been going down in level of priority. I feel like I need all these characters to be in the space roster, right? And again, one thing I haven't mentioned is that while I am building this roster, I am building it in the mind of trying to create a good Marvel fighting game roster. I'm not just trying to get a bunch of shit I want in, or a bunch of shit that is popular and stuff, but, like, again, we're going off the criteria they chose. I want some fresh faces. I want some characters people have been dying to see in these games. I want uniqueness. This isn't MVC, it's Marvel Tokon. Let's get some Marvel Tokon characters in here. Fighting games are really the chance to spotlight characters that, like, normally don't get that level of shine. I mean, like, thinking back to UMVC3, that was my introduction to characters like Rocket Raccoon, like Taskmaster, like these characters that I had never really heard of before. And then, as the next 10 years of my life went on, they started cropping up fucking everywhere. Because they're actually pretty important characters to Marvel, you know? But a fighting game is such a good way to introduce people to a character, because a fighting game, and especially for superheroes, it's all about the action. It's all about how characters look visually, the things they say while they're doing moves, the way they fight, their abilities, their like looks. That's what we're really trying to get here, right? Now, the one thing that you will notice so far is we don't really have too many hard-coded villain characters yet. Really, so far, we have Doom, who is the most villainous villain of all time. And then we have Venom, who is arguably more of like, an anti-hero nowadays, or even just a full-on hero, right? So this is the row that is mostly dedicated to all villains. I'm saying mostly, right? And that's because I'm starting you off with this one. And this is a little bit of recency bias on this one. Little bit of recency bias, which I said before that, you know, considering the timeline, I wasn't choosing what stuff was relevant to the MCU recently. But I also just look at this character and I go, God damn, dude. This character, like, Arcsys needs to be the ones to get their hands on this character, right? And it's Sentry. And here's the thing with Sentry, man. I was talking before with Magic about, like, having an install character. This is your install character. This is your install transformation character. You do Sentry. I mean, the thing with Sentry, too, is, like, Sentry's base form is, like, you know, it's still pretty strong, so you can still make a very decently strong character. I think, if anything, like, when he goes Void, he should have a huge trade-off. Like, I think if he goes Void, you should not be allowed to swap characters. If they're gonna lean into this idea, too, that, like, this is a game that you could play with just one character and like 3 assists instead of, you know, having to worry about like a whole team. Arguably, this character could be this game's Phoenix. Like, this could be the character that absolutely breaks the game because like their power set is just so insane. But I look at this character and I go, dude, like, imagine like Zato visuals for like Void. Oh my god, it would look so fucking cool. I mean, really, Marvel themselves in the MCU haven't even really capitalized on the visuals of this character, because the Void form has like these crazy tentacles and stuff too. Like he's got like, and his power set is just so insane. Like he can fucking mind warp and do all this crazy shit. I really don't know what the fuck they would do with this character, but like this is a character I think if they do, it's gonna go over so insanely well, because this is just like. It's not only hasn't been done, but, like, capitalizing on this character visually in this game's art style is something that is, like, I think is a necessity, honestly. We're gonna keep moving down the line, and I gotta throw in a Spider-Man villain. I have to. We have yet to see any other Spider-Man villain besides Venom, technically, in these games. I need at least one, and judging based off the background, we're seeing some posters for a certain president. I have to assume this is the game we finally get Green Goblin, right? This is the game they finally do. I mean, first of all, when they're talking about faces with Marvel, like, you can make the argument that Spider-Man's entire rogues gallery could be the face of Marvel. But if we're picking ones that are like, you know, who arguably besides Venom, who was the second most recognizable Spider-Man villain, it's a tie between this guy and Doc Ock. And I think Doc Ock could work. Again, it could. I wouldn't be surprised if Doc Ock ends up in the game. I do think, though, Doc Ock is a character that is kind of hard to get right? Like, how are you going to make him... Like, do you just add hurt boxes on the tentacles? Because he's going to be kind of, like, raised up all the time. Unless he maybe just stays grounded and, like, has the tentacles come out of his back or whatever. There's a lot of questions up in the air, and it's a lot of technical problems that Marvel themselves could not even... Or Capcom themselves could not even do back in the day in UMVC3, which we've had confirmed recently that, like, Doc Ock was actually, like, in the game. So, and they just couldn't do him, right? So I could see Goblin. I mean, Goblin, you already know what he's going to do. He's going to throw pumpkin bombs, he's going to throw, like, little knives and stuff, and he's going to have his glider to, like, fly around and fly into people with. He can have, like, knives and stuff. You know, he's a good hand-to-hand fighter, even. Green and purple, hopefully. Hopefully they move away from the Raimi, like, Power Ranger suit stuff that, like, a lot of them kind of rely on after a while. I want to see, like, if Arcsys is going to do Goblin, I would even want to see, like, make the mask, like, stitched up and weird. Like, make it look like a mask. Don't make him look like, you know, just like an organic goblin creature. I mean, you can. It could be cool, but, like, I really want to lean on the idea that there is a guy behind this mask, really. Now, before we move on, I will say, there is a chance that Goblin isn't in the game, right? Like, you know, compared to some other characters where we've seen, like, the background hints on, like, you know, we've seen stuff for Dazzler, we've seen stuff for Luna Snow, like I mentioned already. I don't think that necessarily means the characters are in the game. And if I had to pick another Spidey villain to put in this spot, and this is, I'm not gonna lie, this is just me pushing propaganda here, because I want to see this character in any Marvel game playable so badly. But I was, like, looking over the roster, I'm like, I don't really have, like, a lot of, like, big bruiser guys. I mean, I guess I have Venom, and obviously we have Hulk, but, like, you know, if I wanted to get, like, one more kind of bruisery heavy hitter character in here, I should make them a little different, right? So here's Sandman. And I want to see Sandman so bad, because, like, not only... Like, Sandman is a character on paper, you just, like, you know what to do instantly. That's what's so fun about Sandman, is, like, you know, sand powers, whatever, but, like, his powers are so well defined. He's always doing hammer hands, he's doing the maces and the big fists. You know, he could do the sand cyclone and stuff, but you also have, like, a lot of freedom with what you could do. They can make it, like, he could set, like, grounding traps or whatever. You know, they can make it, like, he could absorb hits by, like, fucking walking forward as, like, the sand, like, construct, and he just absorbs hits and stuff. They can do, like, a lot of fun stuff with Sandman. I really want to see Sandman in. I don't know why. I just like this character design even a lot. Like, it's so funny to, like, to see all these characters, and then you just have a guy who looks like he could be like your dad's friend from Brooklyn in a green striped shirt. But like, what makes him so well recognizable is not only that, but like his power set when he starts using the powers. Actually, I don't know. I'm a big Sandman fan. I want to see Sandman in this game especially so bad. I think he'd look really cool, and his visuals would also be really awesome. I do think, however, though, I'm leaning more towards Goblin. I think it just makes more sense. This is, I mean, really, like, do you want to be the first one to say, hey, we got Sandman in the game? Or the first one to say, hey, we got Green Goblin in a fighting game, right? I'm throwing it out there as, like, that's like a sleeper pick. That's like a sleeper pick, because, like, when they talk about here, like, doing some few surprises here, that's like a surprise character you can do, and it's not like such a deep, like, ass pull of, like, you know, some character that's only been in like 2 comics, or like isn't a part of any team. Like, he's part of like your most popular characters rogues gallery. Like, you could do him and people won't expect him, but they'll be happy he's there, you know. Now, while I have mentioned that this current roster I'm building, and my ideal projected roster size, I would imagine, is 24 characters, I cannot deny the fact that there is something very intriguing with this game specifically that some people have noticed in the background on some stages and stuff. I'm going to go over here. Some people have noticed in the Tokon teaser that there's some graffiti on the stage that says Fear the Champion. Now, there's a Marvel team called the Champions, but this is not plural. This is Fear the Champion. And then at the ending shot of the game, we see this stage, which has some very interesting iconography in it. And apparently, this is the iconography of a character known as the Champion, who I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know much about him. I mean, you can obviously tell that he is a very 90s, like, or like very early comics coded character. But, you know, this is also a cool thing too, is that, you know, when it comes to fighting games, and if this game is gonna have a story, you do have to kind of pick like a main villain. And, you know, Doom is like an obvious thing. They've done Thanos before, they've done Ultron before, they've done Galactus and all this stuff. This guy's a really deep cut pick. He's an extremely deep cut pick, but his whole character gimmick is that he's like a super heavy, like, gladiator style fighter, right? And he gathers a bunch of people together to fight to see if he can prove that he's the strongest or whatever. So that is like a perfect final boss kind of character. So fuck it. You know, like, I don't know if he would be playable himself. I have to imagine he would, because I think it's rare at this point for, like, to have a character not be, like, to have a final boss character not be playable, unless they have, like, some big giant super form or whatever. And he's just a guy. Like, he's just a guy, right? And like I've said before when I was talking about Sandman, I don't really have any other, like, you know, heavier, big punch bruiser style characters in the game yet, and he has a lot more evidence pointing towards him than some other characters so far. So fuck it. I mean, I don't even know what, like, I don't even think he does anything that special. He fucks around with the soul stones, or like the infinity stones a little bit. So maybe they could incorporate that into his moveset. And I guess this is where I spoil it to you here, that there is no Thanos in the roster. At least on the roster of this size, right? So, you know, if this guy is in, I don't see the point in doing Thanos, right? I don't think Arcsys sees the point in doing that either. Thanos has been done already. I think you get this guy instead. And maybe he'd have like a wrestler moveset. Maybe he does fuck with the Infinity Stones and whatever. And I don't even know if he's in the game. He could just not be playable, right? He could just be a boss character, or even just like a background thing. But I don't think they would be, like, doing all of this, right? Like, they wouldn't be referencing it on, like, a bunch of different stages. By the way, hi, Matt Murdock. So, whatever. I'm throwing him in here as a bonus character for this roster. I know I said 24. If you're that much of a stickler, you could take your pick on which character he replaces on the roster. I'm just not doing that, right? I'm sorry, I scrolled over here to Kate Bishop instantly when I thought of that. Sorry, Kate. Alright, we are now down to our last 2 characters, specifically on our villain row. And I was looking through my roster, and I'm like, okay, it's looking pretty good so far. I got a lot of neat stuff in here that I'm personally very excited about. but I think also would go over very well with like a general Marvel audience, right? You know, having Blade, Magic, Daredevil here is enough for some people already. But then we got stuff like, you know, Scarlet Witch, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye is very neat, Elektra, Jubilee. The villain row I'm pretty excited about, and we're not even done, right? But the one thing I was noticing as I was going through is I'm like, okay, I got like, you know, faster rushdown characters, I got some heavy hitter characters, you know, kind of like zoner characters or like projectile based characters. The one thing I don't have, though, is I don't have a super heavy, like, a heavy gun user, right? I don't have a character whose whole thing is just pull out guns and shoot people, right? I know Star-Lord's already here, but Star-Lord also is, like, mainly just the pistols, and I know he has, like, his big gun for his one super move or whatever. I'm talking a character that has, like, a whole arsenal of just guns, like, you know, sniper rifles, RPGs, a bunch of weird shit right now, right? So you're seeing this, you're going, well, Tom, Punisher isn't a villain. He's an anti-hero, but he shouldn't be in the villain role, right? And you're right, there is no Punisher. It's not that I don't want Punisher in the game. It's not that I don't think he would be cool. It's not that I don't think it would make a lot of sense to have Punisher when you have characters like Daredevil, like Spider-Man. But I was just looking through, I'm like, okay. The one thing I was sticking to is, okay, I want to keep, again, one third of the roster female. Like I said before, I already forego Black Widow. I'm not doing Gamora. I will say so far, my one thing about this roster when it's fully completed is I'm not the hugest fan of the idea that there is no Guardians characters besides Star-Lord, right? First of all, I'll tell you this right now. No Rocket. If Rocket's in the game, I will honestly be shocked. Because when the fuck have you ever seen Arcsys do, like, a little character? Like, I know they've done, like, G2 Goku and stuff, but I don't think they've done, like, a non-humanoid little character like that, right? And I know it's Rocket, and he's practically the face of the Guardians. Like, even the fucking movies realize that at the end of the day. But I don't think you get Rocket. I don't think you get Rocket and Groot even or anything like that. No Gamora. No Drax. The one character I did have here for a little bit was Nebula. Because I was like, alright, well, Nebula's becoming a lot more popular now, especially at the end of Guardians 3, where she's, like, now more of a main character. And she would have some interesting fun stuff about her, like her whole cybernetic biology, and, like, you know, maybe she has, like, an arm cannon and whatever. But it was also a little boring. I was like, okay, I think I could do a little bit better than that. And like I said, I wanted to have, like, super heavy gun user, just, like, you know, AKs, RPGs, sniper rifles, and even some other fun stuff, right? And I was just going through some characters, and I was like, oh, there's a character I know that's, like, pretty maybe not decently popular, but, like, she finds her way in a lot of stuff. Like, she's pretty prominent, and she would fit the spot of this character perfectly, right? Now, one thing I will say here is when I'm describing this character spot, this is, like, the one spot I would put for, let me see if I have this here still. Like I said, or I haven't said yet, I'm a huge Taskmaster fan. If there's one character I want to see in the game so badly, it's Taskmaster. Because first of all, I love Taskmaster. I loved him after UMVC 3, and I have yet to see a good Taskmaster since then. Movies, it's not even the same character. The games and everywhere else, they instead of being a fun, wisecracking jackass who's so confident in himself, he's instead just this boring, bland mercenary character. It's so fucking lame. The designs always suck. They are always boring. I don't even care if, like, Arcsys would do the Udon design. I just want to see a good Taskmaster, right? But I don't have Taskmaster here. Because, like I said, I mean, like, really, I would put Taskmaster if I didn't have Kate Bishop here, right? But, like, fuck it, we're having Kate Bishop. There was a character I was looking at, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is a cool idea, actually. It's Silver Sable. And the thing with Sable is, you know, Sable plays like a Punisher. Sable plays like any other character you could think of, like Cable, or, you know, even characters like Bishop, where they're just super gun-heavy, like, gun-toting character. they're always shooting, they're always doing stuff. She has, like, some interesting stuff, like, she has, like, throwing knives, and, you know, she has, like, some melee weapons to her. But the coolest part about her is, like, Sable's whole thing is she is, like, a mercenary pack leader. Like, she has this group called the Wild Pack that she's always, like, she hunts bounties on and stuff. So I imagine that, like, for Sable, I mean, we've already seen that in Doom's Super, you know, they had, like, the Doom bots and stuff. For Sable's moveset, don't just have her, like, you know, just shooting and fighting the whole time. Have her command the guys to come out. Like, have her have just, like, henchmen come out and just, like, do stuff for her. I saw people pitching this idea with, like, Kingpin and doing that, and I think that would be cool, too. And, you know what, honestly, if there's one character I could replace Sable with here, I would do Kingpin. Because I think Kingpin would be a cool big body character that would have, like, henchmen and stuff like that. But I like Sable, man. I like Sable. And I also think, too, that Arcsys would look at this character and be like, oh, we can do, like, a really fun design with this character. You know? The more I think about it, the more I think it's, like, it's unique. I really didn't have, like, too many surprise picks, really. Like, Elektra really isn't that much of a surprise pick. Neither is Jubilee. Neither is even, like, Kate Bishop, right? I wanted something, like, that I could look at and I'd be like, all right, that is wholly unique to them. They will do this, and they will rock it, and it will be very fun. Like the thing with doing villains, too, is, like, you don't want the other villains to overshadow the main villain of the game, and I don't think any of these guys really would, you know? I mean, Sentry is really fucking powerful, but, like, you know, he's not... He's, again, arguably even more of a hero than a villain most of the time. And beyond that, like, he's not going to be, like, the main threat of the game. And that leads me into our last spot. And I was going back and forth on this a little bit. Again, before even, this was Sandman. This was Sandman, but I also felt like at that time, too, I'm like, maybe I'm going a little bit too hard on the Spider-Man stuff. And I was just looking through, I'm like, okay, we got a Spider-Man villain, technically a Spider-Man villain, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Sentry's not even really a villain. We have a Fantastic Four villain without the Fantastic Four, and then some other stuff, some other, like, arguable villain characters, right? So I was just looking, and I'm like, okay, I don't really know who else to really put here. I mean, I could put anything here, right? I really could put anything here. But when I was looking at the roster, I'm like, okay, I don't have any... I mean, we have Blade, right? We have Blade. We have Daredevil. We have, you know, characters like Scarlet Witch. And we have this Ghost Rider specifically. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should have, like, a more, like, supernatural villain. You know, we've already seen that, like, Gargantos is in the background on stage. I'm not doing Shuma. Shuma's a Capcom thing, right? I know there's no X-Men villain, by the way, and I'm sorry, like, I don't think Magneto's in. I don't. I just don't. And it's not that, like, I don't understand that, like, Magneto is popular outside of Marvel vs. Capcom, but he's just such an MVC-coded character to begin with anyway. And, like, not that they can't do anything different with him, but, like, I just don't think... I think if they do, like, listen, like, doing Storm and Wolverine is one thing, right? If this game had Wolverine, Storm, like, Magneto, Sentinel, then it'd be like, okay, I know you're, like, listen, we all respect the legacy here, but I want to see you guys do new things, right? Which is going to make it even more funny when I reveal this final character here, because I was looking through, I'm like, okay, listen, man. He works too well here. He works too well here. You get a villain to oppose Daredevil, to oppose Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, to oppose Blade. He's not the most important, like, supernatural villain character. I could have even put, like, Mephisto here or some shit, but, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put Mephisto here. First of all, fuck Mephisto for how he ruined Spider-Man. But I didn't want to do that. I look at Blackheart and I'm like, this design specifically, I'm like, okay, I want to see them translate this design to an Arcsys style, right? First and foremost. While they could take a lot of inspiration from MVC and Capcom, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to give you a very different kind of Blackheart. They may even make him look very different. And honestly, as I was looking through this again, I don't know if this is, like, I'm assuming this isn't Blackheart, right? I'm assuming it isn't, but it does weirdly kind of look like him a little bit with, like, the tendril hair. So I don't know. I mean, like, I just think overall, I mean, first of all, we haven't seen Blackheart in a while, even. Like, he has had very little prominence in Marvel stuff very recently, but he's a very cool and striking character that I just think, too, like, again, you want that in a fighting game. This is a fighting game first and foremost. We want characters with crazy effects. We want characters with crazy visual designs. The more I look at the entire roster, I just look through this entire thing back over again, and I look at that and I go, that's perfect. That is like, as soon as he slots in, this is to me like a very great launch roster. It's not perfect, and it doesn't have everybody. It doesn't have, and honestly, it doesn't even have, like once it gets like here, you kind of lose a lot of, like, the staple Marvel stuff, and that's mainly just saying because, like, Daredevil and Blade haven't even been in the game, right? Like, but even after all the rest of that stuff, like, really, it's these three characters here, arguably a different version of Hawkeye, and then it starts getting weird, right? But it needs to be weird. It needs to be different. That's how you build a fighting game roster. Because when you have one like this, that's just literally all the Avengers, Thanos, Dormammu because you had him from last game. Like, people just lose interest. It's gonna happen. We want to see, if you're making a Marvel fighting game, we want to see characters that have never been in a Marvel fighting game before. And I know I'm saying that as we're ending off on Blackheart here, but we haven't seen Blackheart in a while. And I want to see an Arcsys Blackheart, man. I really do. And I think a lot of other people would as well. So yeah, overall, I'm a pretty big fan of what I've done here. And again, I would be honest, it's probably way off base even, but I at least want to throw out the idea of a roster that, like, dares to go to new places instead of just, like, being like, okay, here's a Marvel game, here's all the characters that belong in Marvel games because it's a Marvel game. Let me know what you both think about Marvel Tokon below, what you think of this roster below. But the one thing I do want to hear is, of this potential roster I've given you here, what would be your team of 4? I'll give you mine right now. You know, honestly, I'd go Venom, Sable, Blackheart, and then either Goblin, Star-Lord, Doom, Ghost Rider, or Kamala Khan. And I actually, it's so funny that, like, the characters they've shown so far, I actually think look really cool, and I'm actually pretty excited to, like, try them out. I will say though, if Sandman was on this roster anywhere, Sandman would be part of my roster. So, but that's just my bias showing on that one. Anyway, let me know what you think of the roster down below in the comments and whatever. Even talk to me about, like, where you think they're gonna go with this roster, because again, I could just be completely off base. This could just be a very cut and dry, basic ass MCU roster. They could lean more heavily into doing, you know, legacy stuff like Magneto and characters that have been in the game, like the Marvel vs. Capcom games. But I going into this, I not only went based off the things they've said, I went based off what characters would look great in this game's art style. What characters would benefit this game a lot? What characters would get people very excited? What would add a lot of flavor to this game? So that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. I know it's been a little bit of a while. I am hoping to do some more stuff on the YouTube side of things very soon, along with stream. I've kind of just been in a little bit of a rut, not gonna lie, and I've been trying to, like, I've just been trying to get into, like, the right mindset when it comes to doing stuff. You will hopefully very soon see a review of Doom: The Dark Ages posted on this channel. I'm sorry it's been a little bit late on that. I know it's been a couple of weeks since the game's been out, and I was going pretty heavy on the Doom content. But the thing is, I finished the game and I've been going very back and forth on my feelings towards it, and I just wanted those feelings to, like, solidify a little bit more. You'll see me soon, and you'll probably see me talk even more about, like, Tokon and some other stuff, like the Capcom showcase. They're finally revealing the next title update for Monster Hunter and stuff, so things are gonna be pretty cool. that's all I gotta say for now, because I have been yapping for a little bit. But if you would like to see me yap more, Twitch links are down below. You're already on the channel. Hit the sub if you want. Leave comments. Do whatever. I don't know. I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad. Do what you want. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. You have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon.
You should've known you done fucked up when you started us. Niggas play around like I don't be sparring with Spartacus. They target us, the Tommy bust. That nigga gon' get hit so many times you hear a marvelous. We ain't looking for approval from you trash niggas. Rap out the dictionary ass niggas. You ain't shit without your echo chamber around you or your ass kisses. Run up on me, nothing fake about this strap, nigga. I get the money, let my niggas split the excess. Nigga.